Dear St. James, on the second Sunday of Easter, I ask us this question: how then shall we live? And it was not meant to be a rhetorical question. 2 days after, on Tuesday, we were informed as a nation that there is a further extension of the circuit breaker measures till the 1st of June. And Prime Minister Lee rightly mentioned that it must be a disappointment, as many are looking forward to the 4th of May for some gradual easing, and especially the chance to see one another again face to face. On Wednesday, in my own devotional reading of Exodus 16, it struck me that despite this disappointment, God has actually gifted to us 6 precious weeks of opportunity to redeem something far more precious. And that is going to answer this question: how then shall we live? It is by returning back to God's design in creation to keep the Sabbath as holy. What does this mean, actually? When we say that the Sabbath is holy, actually it is telling us that this 7th day belongs to God, and this is a gift from God to us with a very specific purpose. And that's why when Jesus was accused of breaking the Sabbath provisions, in Mark chapter 2, verse 27, he would say the Sabbath was made for men and not men for the Sabbath. Because if we come back to Genesis, you have realized in the pattern of creation for the first 6 days, there's this repeated phrase: there is evening, there is morning, the first, the second, the third, or 6th day. And scholars have understood that this really does 2 things. There is a clear boundary for the 24-hour day. Yet, on the 7th day, we find that this phrase is conspicuously missing. And it is now a sign pointing to us what is God's goal for this 7th day, the Sabbath. It's telling us that human beings, all of us made in God's image, are meant to enjoy his presence for all of eternity. This 7th day, this Sabbath, is not meant to end. And that picture, the image, is once again captured in Revelation 21, verse 23. In the coming kingdom of God, there is no need for the sun or the moon to shine. Why? Because the glory of God, that means his presence, is with us forever. Furthermore, on this 7th day, we are told that God rested from creating. And this word rested, is marked by 3 Hebrew letter roots, S, B, and T, where we get the word Shabbat or Sabbath in English. And the word rest is a verb. And that's telling us it is something that we make a choice, a deliberate action on our part to do. So if that's the case, what is the goal for keeping Sabbath? We need to have a clear idea. Otherwise, we can be easily seduced to say that Sabbath is just a day off that we can refresh ourselves so that we can be more productive for the remaining 6 days. And this is, of course, true if we do take a day off, and we will be refreshed. But the late Eugene Peterson wisely said, Sabbath is not primarily about us or how it will benefit us. It is about God and how God will form us. So it struck me that this actually is God's answer to the very first charge that Ezekiel had leveled at Israel, saying, the weak you, that means Israel, have not strengthened. Because basically there's no need for us to reinvent what, Creator God has graciously given to us to strengthen us. Keep the Sabbath. So we can thank God that Singapore is making improvements. We are giving our foreign domestic helpers now a weekly day off. But actually, that's still not the Sabbath. And that was where it dawned upon me that the next 6 weeks is such a glorious, a perfect gift that God has given to us, so that we can be with our families and we can have a first experience of keeping Sabbath for 6 weeks. And that's why I want to commend to you Pastor Pete Scazzero's write-up on how to keep the Sabbath. It was a document that he produced in the Lent of 2010, 10 years ago, for his church, New Life Fellowship. And he anchored Sabbath keeping in 4 simple principles. And it is stop, rest, delight, and contemplate. Of course, there are many books and there are many other avenues whereby we can avail ourselves to learn how to keep the Sabbath. But you don't have to be an expert. Why not just keep the Sabbath, even if it is imperfectly, over the next 6 weeks? And then you will experience, as Psalm 34 verse 8 says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." We talked about this on Wednesday, and we committed as a staff team till the 1st of June, we want to help one another guard the Sabbath. We agree that it will start from Sunday, 6 p.m. till Monday, 6 p.m., which is typically our off day anyway. When we say to guard, that means it is to prepare ahead, so that we can enter into that time whereby we will stop our paid work. We will rest. We will delight in family and friends, building relationship. We worship, we contemplate the scriptures and also the blessings that God gives to us. Keeping the Sabbath is not a legalistic keeping whereby we now refuse any pastoral duties, but we learn to trust God. We know that He is in control, He is sovereign. This universe will not collapse if we deliberately stop our work. We rest in Him. We delight in one another. We contemplate His goodness. Because God is God and we are not. But let me assure you, church, if there is any legitimate pastoral emergency, we live in the new covenant freedom. You have that freedom to ask for help. The line is still manned, and we will respond and answer the call for ministry. You do not work in the church as a vocational call by God on your life, but why not choose a 24-hour period? Perhaps it can be from Saturday 6 p.m. to Sunday 6 p.m. and that may work better for you. The choice is yours. The Sabbath is God's gift to us. And will we redeem this 6 weeks, during the circuit breaker period, and let us build a new rhythm and experience God's grace for you and yours. Shabbat Shalom. The peace of the Lord be always with you.